York will play again for the third time. And now Denver and New England. One of these two teams to meet the Cleveland Browns in the early game next Sunday afternoon for the AFC Championship. The Patriots have been introduced. And now the defense will be greeted by, well, you can color it orange and title it Bronco Mania. 76,000. They've sold this place out 17 consecutive years. An incredible day, 65 degrees, one of the warmest January 4th in the history of this Mile High City as you look into that triple-decked horseshoe end of Mile High Stadium. The Broncos 11-5, repeating the record of last year, the AFC Western champions against the team that wild-carded its way with 3 road wins last year into the Super Bowl, the New England Patriots, who actually won the first playoff game, the final game of the season. They had to beat Miami in order to get into the playoffs as the AFC Eastern champions. You see Tony Eason, one of the more understated players in the National Football League, and he'll be going against the Orange Crush of Denver. The defense, the strength of this Denver team. Slight delay for whatever reason before they introduce, and Rulon Jones begins the parade.
At right end from Mississippi, number 61, Andre Townsend. At linebacker from William & Mary, number 50, Jim Ryan. And another linebacker from Minnesota, number 77, Carl Mecklenburg. From Arizona, number 98, Ricky Hunley. And from Louisville, number 57, Tom Jackson. At cornerback from San Jose State, number 20, Louis Wright. At free safety from Tulane, number 43, Steve Foley. At strong safety from Arizona, number 48, Randy Robbins. And at cornerback from Michigan, number 31, Mike Harden. And head coach Stan Reeves, his staff.
The home field advantage of the Broncos. You can hear it. They're 7-1 at home this year. They beat New England. On the other hand, the Patriots' only loss on the road, a remarkable 7-1, was right here at Mile High Stadium. We're ready in Denver. First back to Bob Costas and NFL 80.
The National Football League. Today, from Denver Mile High Stadium, it's the AFC Divisional Playoff game. The New England Patriots versus the Denver Broncos.
Love their football in the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. The 129th consecutive sellout, 76,000 plus partisan Bronco fans to cheer for John Elway and company as they go against the New England Patriots today. The Broncos looking for their first playoff win since they went to the Super Bowl back in the 1977 season. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Welcome to Mile High Stadium, where these two teams will be looking for the best of their offenses on a perfect football day. Goodness, 65 degrees in January.
Dick, this is September weather, and the thing that's nice about it, it's perfect for what these two teams like to do. They want to throw the football. They want the passing game. It'll be featured here on both sides today.
Weather will be no excuse, but both coaches said they'll first try to run the ball.
I think the key word there is try. Neither of these teams has been able to run the ball effectively, in particular in the last half of the year. Although Denver did run well against New England early, they'll try and duplicate that. The other fact is that neither team has stopped the run well in the last half of the year.
New England, how bad is their rushing game, Ben? Well, they've dipped down to 2.9 yards per carry. That's the worst in the NFL in 20 years. Big games, big stars come forth and make the big play.
John Elway, great case to make him the MVP in the AFC. No one in the league makes more big plays, especially after things break down, than John Elway. You take Elway out of this Denver lineup, you have a very ordinary Denver offense.
And it's not just those passing numbers. Elway's ability to scramble and get valuable running yards as well. For New England, they've got Tony Eason and a great support team.
Well, that was proven down in Miami. They had to win that game. Eason went down. Grogan came in, and throwing to those fine wide receivers, was able to pick up enough yardage, enough horsepower to bring them here today.
If you're going to talk about the big play performers for Denver, you go to the defensive side of the ball.
Well, you have to do that for Denver. Two big names. Number 77, Carl Mecklenburg, the outstanding linebacker in the AFC. AFC. Number 75, Rulon Jones, the outstanding defensive lineman in the AFC.
Will get the ball first. Raymond Berry has a star defensive player that's coming back into form as well. Number 56, Andre Tippett, in the Pro Bowl for the second consecutive year.
And Dan Reeves has really had his work cut out for him in this 2-week wait for this game. They played their worst game of the year in Seattle to finish the regular season. They've been talking about and preparing for increased intensity. They've had almost a scrimmage-type atmosphere in their preparation the last 2 weeks.
Reeves said he was embarrassed and angry. He admitted that he's never been angrier than after that Seattle debacle. And he also remembers 2 years ago about this time his team, heavily favored, lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Carlos kicks it off. And this final of the 4 games this weekend, we'll see Carlos almost hit it into northern Colorado. Adrenaline. Oh, my. There comes Tony Eason, the man who took the Patriots as the surprise team to the Super Bowl last year. Craig James and Mosi Tutupu, both those men under 3 yards rushing average. Stanley Morgan had a brilliant year, his best ever, the all-time receiver in Patriot history. Irving Fryer, ever dangerous. Greg Beatty, the rookie from Stanford, a tight end. Holloway Fairchild, Brock Wooten, and Haley, the rebuilt offensive line. Eason throws on first down to Tony Collins. It's Collins, not Tutupu, who starts. And Tony Collins gains 4 yards plus. He had 9 catches against the Broncos in the earlier game, won by Denver 27-20 here. Rulon Jones, all-pro. Greg Pragan on the nose. Andre Townsend, the front 3. The Bronco defense very cleverly designed. Jim Ryan. Mecklenburg is a big play artist. Hundley a hitter. Tom Jackson, the oldest linebacker in the league. Louis Wright and Mike Harden, who had 2 interceptions for touchdowns at the corners. Randy Robbins starts for Dennis Smith and the veteran Steve Foley, the other safety spot. Rulon Jones charges into the offensive line. Was he attracted?
False start prior to the snap. Number 76 offense.
Brian Holloway, the left tackle from Stanford. And it'll be 1st and 15. Jerry Seaman is the referee. It's an all-star crew. Many of them have not worked together during the course of the regular year. They're here on merit. 1st and 15. Check that, 2nd and 11 after the 5-yard pickup. Eason almost runs into James, and then James runs into the orange jerseyed Denver defense. Simon Fletcher, 73 in there at a defensive spot. Early piece of the action. So now the Patriots, Merlin Olsen, look at 3rd and long, and that's where Denver loves to put the opposition.
This Denver defense is toughest, Dick, against the passer when they know that you can't have the option of that easy run.
3rd and 7. Out of the shotgun. And they hand it off to Collins. He's got some running room. 30 and out of bounds with a first down at the 37-yard line. Randy Robbins finally got to him, but Collins out of the shotgun rushes for 14.
Well, everyone keying in on the throwing by Grogan, or by Eason. Grogan calls the play from the sideline and just hands it down there to Collins, who legs beyond the marker to pick up the first down.
Number 14, Steve Grogan. He calls the plays. Tom Ramsey signals them in. He's the 3rd-string quarterback. Play action by Eason. Tutupu, and it was almost intercepted by Ricky Hundley. Tutupu open, and the ball flipping through his fingertips.
Quick look at that. Almost a turnover there for Hundley. That's the kind of thing when you have a successful run, Denver's defense thinking run. You freeze them momentarily and try and flip it over the top. Oh, how close that was to being an interception for Ricky Hundley.
Greg James on the draw. Carl Mecklenburg from Minnesota. And Cragen in on the tackle. Now you see how that Patriot rushing game has deteriorated. James from 4.9 to 4.7 to only 2.8. Collins 4.426. Tutuku from 4 to 3 to 2.4. Oh, they missed John Hanna.
They missed Lynn Dawson, that fine blocking tight end, too.
And Steve Moore, who went down with knee surgery at the tackle. Over the middle to Collins, and almost deflected back to Greg Beatty. Denver will get the ball, and they love it at Mile High.
Look at that last play. The snap was fumbled by Eason, breaking up the timing on that play, making it very difficult. When he finally did get it inside, Collins, who has excellent hands, bounced it off his shoulder.
You know, that play reminded me of a playoff game a few years ago, the Raiders and Chargers, where Raymond Chester caught the ricochet and went for a long touchdown early. Beatty, had he caught it, had clear sailing. Wilhite at the 15. And Gerald Wilhite, the all-purpose runner for the Broncos, is to the 24. Jim Bowman made the tackle. 47-yard punt, 8-yard return, and John Elway will be in action for the first time at their own 24. John Elway at quarterback, Sammy Winder, their leading rusher, 5 consecutive years. He had 789 yards this year. Gerald Wilhite is their top receiver. He caught 64 this season. Vance Johnson with speed. Watson is the clever move man. Orson Mobley. Actually, we're going to start with 2 tight ends, Joey Hackett and Orson Mobley. With Winder, the only running back, and he's set way out to the left. Now he'll line up behind Elway. From the 24. Fake to Winder. Elway going deep. Johnson, what a catch! Did he hold on? At the 50-yard line, Vance Johnson, a circus play.
Patriots have started Ernest Gibson in place of Lepet. They come back right here and go at Claiborne, the Pro Bowl cornerback. Vance Johnson just driving him off with the speed and then catching what looked to be a very difficult pass and then hanging on as his body crashed to the ground.
Apparently he was able to get his body underneath the ball while he was juggling it. First down near the 50. Winder on the draw. Gets a couple. The key in the first game, Merlin, when New England dominated the first half, led 13-3 at the half, but then struggled in the second half, was the fact that they were able to run up the middle against New England, Denver.
They really attacked the nose tackle, Toby Williams. They did it in several ways. They did it by bringing people in motion and trapping on him. Here they're using the single block by Billy Bryant, but that play designed to go right up inside. Denver will run those plays at the nose until New England stops them.
Elway going for it all. And Raymond Claiborne, excellent coverage on rookie Mark Jackson from Purdue. Let's look at the defense of the Patriots. A couple of birthday boys in that secondary. Brent Williams, a rookie from Toledo. Toby Williams, not related, on the nose. Garen Barris had a big game against Elway, their first meeting. Tippett, the Pro Bowler. Rembert replaces the injured Steve Nelson. Lawrence McGrew and Don Blackman. Blackman underrated. Ernest Gibson for Ronnie Lepet. Lepet turned an ankle this week in practice. Claiborne, the veteran, a birthday on Friday. Roland James. Fred Marion celebrated the birthday on the 2nd as well. So did Craig James. 3 Patriots the same birthday this Friday. 3rd and 8. Elway going to Sampson, incomplete. Elway off the mark on the last 2 throws as they tried to go deep. But there might be a design in that for Dan Reeves to make the Patriots think about the long ball. In comes the punter, the 3rd this year for Dan Reeves. Mike Horan, he kicked for the Eagles in '84 and '85. Irving Fryer, very dangerous return man, drifts back to the New England 10. Horan wearing number 2, first time in 20 years a Denver player's worn 2. Cookie Gilchrist was the last. That had a lot of dust on it when he came here about a month ago.
Did he get to wear the striped socks too, that vertical stripe?
I can't seem to find any of those. Left-footed kicker, and he spirals one away from Fryer. Oh, that very nearly caught the 1-yard line. It took a New England bounce, and the Patriots will begin at the 20-yard line. Tony Eason, +9 this year, 19 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, will bring the offense on the field. 11th. The winner advances to the semifinals of the Super Bowl Derby. Joining the Redskins and the Giants will play the late game next Sunday for the NFC Championship. The Giants, oh, what a surprise, pounding the 49ers 49-3. The Cleveland Browns in overtime yesterday, waiting to host the winner of this game. Eason to James. Yep, that's the rushing game of the Patriots. They just are unable to move the ball on the ground. So all the pressure on the passer Eason and his fine receivers.
In that last 86-yard drive, so critical to the win in Miami, they ran 10 running plays to get that ball downfield. They felt that they had revitalized that running game. Well, the fellas in orange have other thoughts about today.
Fryer, short yardage to the 24, 5 yards, so it'll be 3rd and 6.
Sometimes late in the season, concentration tends to wane a little bit for the quarterback. Look at Eason's season when you split it in half. And the critical number, interceptions. No interceptions in 8 games, 9 touchdowns. Second half of the season, 10 touchdowns, but also 10 interceptions.
And we'll check Elway's report card when Denver gets the ball. 3 wide receivers. And then a reverse to Fryer. And Freddie Gilbert unable to make the tackle, but he ruined the play. Gilbert, number 90. Jim Ryan finished it off.
Joe Collier's defense well conceived. He'll always have someone out there responsible for containment. The man this time, number 90, Freddie Gilbert. He's waiting there. Fryer able to use his quickness to get away from him, but not from the others who followed close behind. Mike Harden, number 31, there to make the stop.
Camarillo, as you look at Joe Collier, the defensive wizard of the Broncos. Gerald Wilhite back at the 34. Scuffs this one, but it might take a good bounce for New England. Nope, it does not. And will roll dead at the 34-yard line. Now Rich Camarillo, who's had some boomers, gets 45 yards on a kick that sliced off the right side of his foot. Timeout, 9:03 left. And today with suntan lotion at 65 degrees.
Maybe swimsuits.
How about next week in Cleveland, 12 o'clock for NFL 86?
Things will be starting back there. Dick, I've been back there next to that lake when it was so cold that you couldn't move and you're afraid you're going to break in half. We're probably not going to be blessed with this kind of day back there. Maybe harder to throw the football. And, of course, Cleveland's a passing team just like these two.
And the Browns fans will keep it hot for us. Those 80,000 at the Giant Horseshoe at Lake Erie, waiting to meet the winner of this one. Wonder who they're cheering for. No score. 9 minutes left first quarter. Sammy Winder. They attack the middle, and Winder has a first down. That was the wham play, Merlin.
Right up the gut. Denver going back to what worked for them in the earlier game against New England. Watch number 90, Williams inside. They come down with Bishop, 54, 47, Wilhite, a good block in there. They turn loose a hard-working Sammy Winder. He winds it up for a first down.
11 yards on the play to the 45. Steve Sewell leading the block on Winder, but Andre Tippett. Boy, he makes the kind of tackles that, you know, I guess up in ski country in Vail, they call those yard sales. Boy, when he hits you, everything flies. He may be 100% now. Didn't play as if he was totally healed the last 2 or 3 games. With the extra week off, looks like that'll help him.
I think that 2-week rest helps anyone who's injured. In fact, he said his knee felt well enough that he might go without his knee brace, but he hasn't done that. He's got it on out there.
I know they're talking about Lawrence Taylor, but when I'm 100%, I'll make you think about me again in a hurry, says Tippett. Doesn't lack in self-confidence. Overshooting Wilhite was Elway. Not happy with that throw.
We gave you Eason's numbers on a split. First 8 games, last 8 games. Elway's numbers similar. 12 big touchdowns, only 4 interceptions in the first half of the year. The last half of the year, with his offense struggling, a defense struggling, a lot more interceptions, as you could see, and not as many touchdowns. So Denver really trying to regain their momentum.
Yeah, their strength was out the top of the year, I recall, with the 6 straight wins to start the season 6-0. New England had a 7-game win streak in the middle of the year. 3rd down and 8. This is what Elway does best, on the move. Throws it to the wrong man. Rod McSwain intercepts for New England. And there's the first turnover at the Patriot 38-yard line.
McSwain right on top of number 80, Michael Clark Jackson. You'll have a chance to see it. Elway really trying to gun it into a man that's covered. Sometimes that strong arm is a curse as well as a weapon. And Elway tried to throw it to a man well covered in this situation. It backfires. New England will have an opportunity to take it over.
They mark it at the 39-yard line. McSwain had it played perfectly. He intercepted Marino's last pass in that Miami game on Monday night. In essence, a playoff win for New England. From the 39, Eason. Nobody open. Rulon Jones and Jim Ryan for the sack.
Coming right at you. You watch the rush from the inside. Eason takes extra time as he could not find the open receiver. It proved to be a mistake. He's out of your picture, but not out of the gun sights of number 50 Ryan and number 75 Jones. They'd like to get to Eason, test his confidence and test his toughness early.
Remember, he bruised a nerve in his shoulder making a tackle in the Miami game, and Grogan came in to finish the job. He extricates himself there to the 40, and Steve Foley brings him down at the 40-yard line. He picked up all the yardage he lost on the sack, plus a couple, a 10-yard gain.
The best rushing average on the New England Patriot team, aside from a receiver who carries seldom, is this man. He has a 4.9 average as a rusher. He has run very effectively on the year, a little awkwardly there, but does what he has to do, picks up the first down.
Not the first down, but picked up the 10 yards, 9 of which have been lost, 8 of which on the sack. So it's 3rd down and 8. Rulon Jones almost another sack. They're not doing a very good job of keeping him away from Eason. Incomplete as Eason trying to pump fake or not throw the ball, threw it into the ground.
Dick, you mentioned that injury to Eason last week, and I asked him, was it really your shoulder or your arm? He said, actually, it was my neck. He said it was like somebody had stuck a hot knife into my neck. You're exactly right. He wanted to pull that one back, get the fake of that long arm pump, and then go deep. It didn't work.
A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player in today's game, announcing that near the end. Gerald Wilhite back at the 18. Camarillo's second punt. But that is 3rd punt of this first quarter. And he drills this one. And it goes into the end zone. That was 65, 70 yards in the air off the foot of Camarillo. Timeout with 5:55 left in the first. Surgery.
Standing next to Rod Rust, and of course Nelson was the on-field general for this New England defense. That job now has been handed over to Johnny Rembert, number 52, who is calling the defenses on the field, and that's That's a little bit of an uncomfortable job if you haven't done it before.
From the 20, Denver, Wilhite. Oh, dragged down in a flag. Garen Veras apparently got him by the face mask. Even though he was behind, Wilhite must have reached around and made the illegal tackle.
Wilhite made a U-turn. And that'll be a 15-yarder, I think. That's the personal foul. Using the mask to make the tackle. Now, that's not an inadvertent mask. Watch number 60, Veras, reaching in, and watch the head snap right back around. That is dangerous.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 31 defense. First down.
Marked from the spot of the foul, so it's out to the 34-yard line. First down. Neither team able to move the ball. Just one big play. That was the 25-yard pass from Elway to Vance Johnson, and it took a spectacular catch by Johnson to gather that in. That's about the story offensively of this first period. Elway drilling that ball incomplete.
Don Blackman, number 55, driving back into the zone, leaped up in the air, just got a fingertip on that ball to knock it away. What a great athlete he is.
His size, 6'3" and 235, played at Tulsa as college ball. 7.5 sacks with all the publicity Tippett earns. It's easy to overlook Blackman, but none of the coaches that play against New England miss him. They know his outstanding talent. Who's never missed a game for Denver in motion. Elway wants to go long. Steve Sewell. First down at the 28 of New England.
Denver will feature number 30 Sewell as a running back, as an H-back. In this situation, he's down the sideline. That's the matchup they want with the linebacker, Lawrence McGrew. 31 coming over to try and help, but there's no chance on that. And Elway, critically, with time to throw that football to find that seam beyond the linebacker.
Tough catch, too. He had to turn his body 180 degrees. He had to look from the sun into the shade. 39 yards for Sewell, and the deepest penetration for Denver in this game. Watson, first and goal.
Driving off Gibson on this play, and then that ball in the air before he even made the break. Tough to cover a man like Elway's passes when you give a receiver that much room.
Steve Watson gets 21 on that catch. First and goal from the 7-yard line. Wilhite gets about half that. Toby Williams 90 in the middle of the stack. Ray Berry, the Hall of Famer. His father is here, Ray Sr., from Paris, Texas, where he was a storied high school football coach.
I think probably in these two coaches, in Reeves and Berry, the most placid, although Reeves will get excited on the sideline, but his approach, very cerebral, I guess would be the right word for both of them.
Elway doesn't like the call for the defensive set, or was running out of time, and spends one of Denver's timeouts in this first half.
They may be sorry for that later on. You'd like to save them, but you also don't want to blow a scoring opportunity. Better to take the timeout if you don't have the right play called, if you don't have enough time on that 30-second clock.
Let's go back to Steve Sewell, who has injured, missed 5 games for Denver, an all-purpose player. He wears number 30, the same number that Reeves wore when he was the all-purpose back for Tom Landry in Dallas, and they've missed the versatility that he's brought to the offense. He just made the big catch on this drive, a welcome addition to the Bronco offense.
Well, he's capable of doing really all of the things you'd like a back to do or a wide receiver to do. He can come into the backfield, carry the ball for you, start at a wide receiver position, come across and take a toss and become a running back. he also is one of those unique people that can throw the football very accurately, and may ask him to do that today.
Well, the start of our show today, it was Sewell who threw to Elway for the touchdown the first game of the season. Well, how could we get through a Denver game without seeing Joe Collier go on to his photos, his instant photos?
I don't think he had those 18 years ago when he first came here to Denver to take over this defense, but you talk about continuity in a defensive situation. Collier has been here through 3 ownerships and 5 head coaches.
Second and goal from the 4. That's Sewell in motion. Elway looks as if he wants to run. He didn't quite make it. Right at the 1-foot line. Elway thought he was in.
Flag. Elway is not allowed to spike that football. The ball is still live, and that'll be a penalty. He let his emotion get the best of him, and that'll cost him.
Delay of game offense.
So instead of it being 3rd and goal at the 1-foot line, that 5-yard penalty, the frustration of Elway. He says, did I score? I didn't. And that's what he gets the 5 for.
Elway ended up in the end zone. But that is not the kind. He has traditionally fought against his temper on the field. You can see why.
Here's how close he was to scoring.
He just dives right here. And you can see him, the shoulder hit just outside, and he rolled into the end zone, but it's a good call by the officials.
The penalty coming after the play, so it is 3rd and goal from the 6. They may be reviewing on instant replay whether Elway was in. It appeared that the tackle was so solid that it turned the ball back into the field of play when he went down.
There's no question that Elway's shoulder touched outside. Of course, the officials may be looking to see where the ball was when the shoulder touched. Here is a low angle. You're not going to be able to see where the goal line is, but there's no question that the ball in the upper part of the body, the shoulder in this case, turned back, as you said, away from the goal line.
His feet, the lower half of his body, in because the tackles turned him 180 degrees. And obviously, Terry Seaman does not need to announce that the play stays, and so does the penalty. So 3rd and goal from the 6, and New England looks for the pass. A draw. Elway does not fool Toby Williams. Williams from Nebraska, where he was a walk-on. His brother Jimmy, who was a top pick of the Lions, was a linebacker there out of Washington, D.C. They were overlooked as collegians, and Williams was in the pro draft as well.
This Denver offense loves to turn Elway loose on that quarterback draw, and I'd like to have a dime for every time that New England has talked about that this week. You spend 2 weeks looking at a team, you know what they want in that situation. They were ready for Elway.
Rich Carlos, a solid year, 27-yard attempt. Denver gets 3, but because of an unusual penalty, Elway thinking he had a touchdown in frustration. Instead of getting the ball at the 1-foot line on 3rd down, it was 3rd down at the 6, and Denver unable to get what they were after, the full 7.
They did get something else going here with the first points. They kind of turn on this crowd. New England had hoped to start fast. They have not been able to do it. Let's go back again and look at this play, because there's no question that it really pushed them into an awkward situation. With the ball on the 1-yard line, I think they probably could have punched it in for the touchdown. But Elway hits, rolls just outside, and then his own frustration and anger and his lack of control probably cost his team a chance at the touchdown.
If you're looking for an omen in the first score, when Denver scored first this year, that would be 9 times, they were 8-1 when they have scored first in a game. 3-4 when the opponents run the board first. But the first quarter quandary of the Denver offense continues. Harless and Stephen Starring will not have a chance. To show you how tough things have been for the Denver offense. Well, it's not tough for him. This is a thrill for this young
Kelly
boy.
Wall, little 5-year-old. He won a contest at J.C. Penney. He's supposed to go out and pick up the tee. Well, Harless kicked it so far down the field. Kelly said, I don't know where it is. Here it comes. He got it.
Now, you look at that face. Is that worth $1 million? Quarter, the last 5 games. Craig James reversing, and out of that will gain 2. Ryan and Woodard, Mecklenburg all there for Denver. Woodard 52 was there initially. He is being groomed to replace the veteran Tom Jackson. Jackson in his 14th year, the oldest linebacker in the league, and there are rumors that Jackson will retire at the end of the season and Woodard would be his replacement. Eason underneath and broken up by Hundley. Irving Pryor, the intended receiver.
I talked to Steve Brogan about how he would be calling his plays early in the game, and his biggest concern was to keep as much pressure as he could off of Eason. As a quarterback, he said, I know what it takes to get him into the rhythm of the game. I'm going to try and call plays without putting him in awkward situations to get him into the flow of the game.
Yeah, but his running game isn't getting him in the right positions. And again, he has to work out of the shotgun, 3rd and long. Underneath to Pryor as the pressure was on. They were bringing Steve Wilson on a corner blitz.
It looked like that ball may have been deflected. Either that or just badly thrown because it was miles short. Watch for Wilson, number 45, from the right side of your screen, and indeed it was he who stretched up and got a piece of that. Second deflection on Eason's passes on the day.
So Tony Eason is 2 for 7 for a total of 8 yards. Camarillo been busy. 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and he's kicking for the 4th time. Very high but short. Wilhite fair catch at the 45-yard line. Coming up next weekend, January. Elway to throw long, looking for Johnson. Almost intercepted by Raymond Claiborne. It'll be 2nd down and 10. So Elway showing a desire to stretch that defense, Merlin Olsen. He's trying to go long.
He's trying to get him to move out of his way a little bit, but that's not easy to do.
2nd down at the 46. Through the hands of Gerald Wilhite. McGrew, the closest defender.
That ball thrown very crisply and just slightly behind, in fact, on the back shoulder of Wilhite. And Elway, even without trying, even when he tries to throw the ball softly, tends to zip it in there. If it's not the right position, extremely hard to catch.
3rd and 10 for the Broncos. Elway 3 for 9, 85 yards, 1 interception. Good pressure, but he's able to elude it. And then misfires. He had Mark Jackson open at the 37 of New England, threw behind him.
That pass, Dick, reminiscent of some of the passes he threw in a game here, in the first game here, when in the first half Elway was throwing everywhere but into the hands of his receivers.
I wonder if number 60, Garen Veras, let's watch him. He might have gotten a piece of it. There's Veras, good pass rusher.
Trying to keep Elway in the pocket. Veras quick enough to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't Veras.
I think it just came out of his hand badly. He said that was the worst half of football when trying to throw the ball he'd ever had.
Irving Pryor back at the 10 for New England as Warren has his second punting chance. Dying spiral. Good kick. Out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Well, it's been a tough year for the punters in Denver. They started with Jack Wheel, then went to Chris Norman, and finally found Mike Horan, who has been by far the best man of that trio. 41 yards on that one, no return. Yesterday, about this time, Raymond Berry was completing practice down at that far corner, right in that corner. And he said, all the players had gone. He said, I'm just going to wait a while. I said, well, why aren't you leaving? He said, I want to see just how that sun is going to impact my receivers. You can see, looking back in that corner, you're staring into the sun. Berry, such a meticulous preparer, and he wasn't going to miss anything. His team doesn't have to worry about that in this spot. They're running the ball. And that's Reggie Dupard, the rookie from SMU, their #1 draft pick, who carried only 15 times all year, picking up reasonable yardage, at least when you compare it to what's been happening in this first quarter for New England. And those are the shadows, working from the team right now going right to left. Denver in the first quarter. That'll change shortly. There's 1:20 left in the first, having to look back into the sun when they're going from right to left. On the carry by Dupard. This is Greg Hawthorne, who slams out to the 26-yard line. Hawthorne, who played at tight end most of the year, now has moved into the backfield, with Beatty taking that tight end starting job.
And it would appear that the Patriots opting to try and rotate those backs in there, keep fresh backs in there. It has paid off with a rushing first down here, a rather rare creature for the Patriots.
And a unique tandem of Dupard and Hawthorne. They stay in. First down. Dupard showing his quick start out to the 28-yard line, where Ken Woodard and Mecklenburg make the tackle. Steve Grogan, a veteran from Kansas State in his 12th year, number 14. There you see the play sheet in his right hand, and then he'll tell Tom Ramsey, and Ramsey, number 12, will signal in to into Tony Eason.
They'll wind it down. Grogan, of course, one of only 2 quarterbacks in the league to be calling his own plays. The other, Mark Malone in Pittsburgh.
And the first quarter is history in Denver. 3-0. Had a wager, $100 for the man who would lose his temper first. Well, losing his cool today may be more costly than just a C note for Elway. Here's the play as he rolls left. It was a run designed all the way on 2nd and goal. He thought he scored a touchdown, but a solid tackle turns him around, and that right hand turned back into the field of play. He rolled into the end zone, thought he had a touchdown, and when he learned he didn't, he picked up 5 yards for that delay of game temper.
Now, if this game comes down to a 1 or 2 or 3 point difference, that indeed could be the difference in the ball game.
We open the second quarter. New England has not passed the 50-yard line. Eason has Morgan open. Stanley Morgan, and he's just knocked out of bounds as he was putting it into high gear. Steve Foley saved the touchdown. A little pump fake and a little hitch and go by Morgan. A big yardage play.
Stanley the Steamer, they're trying to bump and run him on the line with Steve Wilson, 45. This is not a man that you can bump and run. There's the saving tackle by Foley, who has to come all the way across from his safety position. Otherwise, the Steamer was going to steam it into the end zone.
36 yards on the play, the biggest play for the New England offense by a man who caught 84 passes this year, 4th best in the NFL. Dupard, the rookie, trouble with a handoff, but showing good desire inside the 30. Steve Wilson up to make the tackle. Morgan, who finished 4th behind Todd Christensen, Jerry Rice, and Al Toon with his 84 catches and his yardage second only to Rice.
I think, though, Dick, that if Ron Meyer were still coaching this New England team, Stanley Morgan might be gone. He really had gotten so discouraged, so despondent that his performance had dropped almost to nothing.
Good play action by Eason. That's Beatty, the tight end. Greg Beatty, a basketball player at Stanford, and he's out of bounds inside the 20. 10 yards on the play.
Just a minute ago, I mentioned flow and what Grogan is trying to do for his fellow quarterback, Eason, on the field. You kind of feel it now. For the first time, this New England offense is starting to get momentum. Eason able to hit that long pass to Morgan, come right back with a run play out of a passing set, and then drop off the short pass to Beatty. Dr. Grogan, you say, Coach Grogan. He said, don't call me coach.
He still wants to play.
You bet he does.
And he showed he still can play in Miami. New England's deepest drive. They trail 3-0. Eason going for 6 to Morgan. Touchdown. Stanley Morgan, who caught 10 touchdown passes during the course of the year. A perfect throw from Eason and a 19-yard score.
One of the things this Denver defense has done best over the years is to hold down the number of big plays. Right at the tail end of the season, they began to give up some of these long bombs, and it's Morgan driving into the corner, pushing Steve Wilson 45 off, and that was just a perfect pass from Eason. You can't throw that ball any better.
Tony Franklin, the leading scorer in the NFL this year, earned the Pro Bowl visit, adds the extra point, and with less than a minute gone in the second quarter, the New England Patriots on a drive inspired by Eason to Morgan passes. 2 throws. There were 6 plays, 87 yards, 55 of the yards on 2 passes to this man, Stanley Morgan. This one for the score.
New England, a dangerous team. You can stop them and stop them and stop them, but they come back and respond with the big play. And a 7-pointer here.
Grogan and Ramsey, Eason's counterparts. He knew he had a good play. By the way, Tom Ramsey, number 12, we're going to see some good play again, I suppose, as we did yesterday from Jay Schrader, the looming quarterback with the Washington Redskins at UCLA. Ramsey was the starting quarterback. Schrader played behind him.
That's right. Kept him on the bench.
Turned him to baseball. So the third string, they feel they've got some strength there as well in New England. Well, for the 6th straight game, Dan Reeves' offense failed to score a touchdown in the first quarter, and now he's seen New England score early in the second period. You saw that little exhalation by Reeves of one of, well, wonder perhaps.
Reeves has been challenged because of his lack of willingness to try and be a motivator to this team. He said, hey, if I have to give pep talks every week, I've got the wrong kind of players.
Franklin kicking to Bell and Lang. It's to Gene Lang's side, and he's going to take it out from 2 yards deep. And gets it to the 18-yard line. Derwin Williams, number 82, around the ankles of the return man, a 21-yard return. Dan Reeves, his 6th year in Denver. No Bronco coach in history could make that claim before. And, of course, now the winningest coach in Bronco history. He and Barry, as well as Ditka, were all assistants, and John Makovic. Tom Landry in Dallas. He and Ditka were roommates for 6 years. Elway going long again. This time for Mark Jackson. Well covered by Roland James, and Ernest Gibson was there as well.
A very long, incomplete pass. Talking about that relationship of, yeah, we'll do that in just a second. Go across to the other side of the field to take a look at that. watch how closely this receiver is covered. In fact, I think if that ball had been on target, the defender would have had a better chance at it than Jackson. Roland James showing you excellent speed downfield.
That ball through the air some 60 yards. Almost intercepted by Rembert. No, it isn't. It came in on one hop. Rembert short hopping that pass from Elway, who threw under pressure. It was Tippett putting the heat on Elway.
Take a peek at that last play. Elway's had a couple in and out of the hands of the opposition here. Rembert, as we mentioned, who's calling the defensive signals, positioned himself perfectly in there. Let's see if we can see that ball hop. Ooh, we can see it zip. Talk about hop on a fastball, and Elway gets some bouncing off the ground on that.
Nothing's hard to catch for both sides, defense and his own receivers. 3rd and 10. Down the middle to Mobley, the big tight end. First down at the 39. Orson Mobley. Jim Bowman made the tackle, and Mobley was the new name on the block. He had 22 catches late in the year.
Almost all of them, as you mentioned, coming quite late, and they want to utilize his skills as a pass catcher. Huge target for Elway. Good speed, in fact, quite amazing speed, and he's working against the secondary that has to give up about 3 or 4 inches in height to him.
He's 6'5" and 260. Wilhite out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Lawrence McGrew there first, a 4-yard gain.
Dick, just to finish a thought we started earlier, talking about the relationship of Reeves and Mike Ditka, as we check that Wilhite is still down on the sideline. Usually after big games or before big games, those two talk, and we asked Dan Reeves if he did get a hold of Mike Ditka after the Chicago loss. The answer is, for obvious reasons, I simply did not call.
I know Ditka's pulling for Reeves, though. Shoulder as he goes out of bounds in the tackle of McGrew.
You can see that shoulder and the arm stretched out as he's driven to the ground. He'll get up pointing to his shoulder, grabbing that shoulder. There he is. You see him pointing to that shoulder. He's not only their leading pass catcher, but a punt returner, a kick returner, and an excellent runner. You don't want to lose him.
2nd and 6. Winder and Lang in the backfield. And the throw is to Sewell. Steve Sewell for about 5, maybe 6, to the 47, close to a first down.
We mentioned the featuring of Sewell from various positions on the field. Here he comes from a wide receiver position in motion and ducks up into the shadows. He got away from him momentarily. Quick pass by Elway, who was getting pressure from Brent Williams on the outside. Down to within about a half a yard of that first down.
Wilhite appears to be okay, raising his arm, showing no pain there. He will return. 3rd and short. Woo, hitting the backfield, but Lang, a second effort and a first down. Gene Lang from LSU. Didn't see a lot of action this year. He's had a lot of bumps and bruises. Rushed for only 94 yards, as you can see, after a good season in '85.
Simply second effort. They had him in the backfield, had him locked up, would have had him stopped. Denver would have had to kick the ball, but he kept his feet moving and was able to pick it up.
Dennis Owens had him for a loss, but he broke away. 11.5 minutes remaining, first half. New England 7, Denver 3. Gene, check that Sammy Winder, and he's tackled for a loss, and a flag is down. Rod McSwain made the hit.
Thrown from the backside. Could well be a holding penalty against Denver's offensive line.
Illegal use of the hands the other way against New England. That's an unusual call.
That is an unusual call.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football
Illegal
League.
use of hands to the face. Number 96 defense. First down.
That's Brent Williams, the rookie defensive end. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Denver Broncos and the National Football League is prohibited.
Well, the rule is designed to protect the players. You're not allowed to use the hands to the face or the helmet. They throw the flag when you do.
First down on the penalty at the 46 of New England. Winder to the 39-yard line. Fred Marion finally brought him down. Up the middle, that was the key, as we said earlier, in their win the first time they played in the early season.
Coming right at you and right at Dennis Owens, the nose tackle. They're able to control him with the center. Bishop slides over and gets a good block on 52 Rembert. And then it's all Winder as he just drives up inside for an excellent gain.
Winder from Southern Mississippi, 5th-round pick in '82. He gets the call. No, it's Lang this time. And Lang. Is that a fumble? I believe they called the ball dead at the 34. That would be a first down. Lang really sent spinning.
Looking from the opposite side of the field. Quick toss to the outside. They've just gone right up the middle. Of course, you like to vary it, switch it up. Ball bouncing loose. Hard to tell from that high angle what was down and what was up. Ball was definitely loose.
5 minutes gone in the second quarter. Denver trails 7-3. 10th play of this drive. Winder. 9 more up the middle.
Last week, Dan Reeves had his troops in pads, and they were in a virtual scrimmage early in the week. This is what he wanted to reestablish, the kind of hammering up front that has allowed them to run the ball. They did not do it well during the last part of the season, but you see good movement off the line there and an explosion by Winder as he gets upfield for a fine gain.
Winder again for what appears to be a first down. Through and Tippett with a tackle, and the crowd acknowledging another 4 downs for the Broncos as they move inside the 25.
A grudging New England defense. Todd Rust has his troops, of course, as usual, playing deep. They make you work your way down the field, and Elway said early, he said, I've got to be patient. I've got to take what they give me. And you've noticed when he's gone deep, there's always been someone there. Now they're picking underneath.
Screen. Lang. What a tackle. Open field hit by Don Blackman, number 55. That appeared to have long yardage written on it, except for that man.
You mentioned the fact that he has been overlooked by many who would give all of the accolades to Tippett on the other side, but not only great reaction, what great strength, one arm, and just literally pulled the man back and down without letting him get away.
Only 2 yards on the play when it appeared that might even be a touchdown. Great player. He not only can throw it, that's what he can do to hurt you.
They shut off his receivers. They didn't give him a place to throw the ball. He just pulled it down, and it was Elway on the highway for 6 points, and now a chance for 7.
Rich Carlos out of Kubiak's hold, and it's Denver back in the lead. Flag is down. Maybe against New England. No, the other way, so they'll have to kick it again after a 10-yard penalty.
We talked about Elway's ability to make a broken play or a bad play turn into something very special for his team. And here it is right here. Great foot speed, a nose for the end zone. He'll do what he has to do to help his team win.
Well, when he was the very first player picked by the Colts in 1983, and then they trade engineered where he finally came to Denver, he had all this potential written about him, obviously, and he had trouble as a rookie, but he has really blossomed into one of the game's very best. This would be almost the equivalent of a 30-yard field goal. And Carlos just does hook it in there. 7:40. John Elway's 22-yard scramble completing an 82-yard drive in 13 plays, and they were thundering their applause while we were away in that commercial break.
These stands actually shake. And of course, with that touchdown, Elway really livens up this crowd. They're going to be pretty noisy as Eason drives his way into the closed end of the stadium.
Steffen Starring deep as Carlos kicks it off very high. Starring coming up to get it on the run at the 15. Has some running room now. Cross field, a flag down, and Starring is down at the 39-yard line. Randy Robbins, 48, made the tackle along with Ken Woodard.
They're going to carry it back, and that's really a shame. That was a great return, a daring move by Starring as he streaked up the sideline to catch that ball and take it out. But I think they're going to take it back.
Rick Dennison, number 55, is the injured Bronco. We'll see whether it was Dennison that was fouled. No, you could see it was Bell 35 pushed in the back.
Dennison is right there, just made his turn, and as he turned, he got hit. Didn't have a chance to see those blockers coming at him. He's up.
Holding.
He's moving.
During the return, number 28, receiving team, first down.
Jim Bowman guilty of the hold. Dennison apparently is okay. And the penalty marks it back to the 14-yard line. So instead of the 39, it's the 14. 10-7, Denver leads midway through the second quarter. Jackson has always known how to play to the crowd, and they love him as he makes the hit on Dupard for a -2.
The sixth time this year selected as the most inspirational Bronco. He's the only one that's ever won that award.
And now they'll turn it up. This big crowd in Denver. Oh, big hole for Collins. And Tony Collins is all the way to the 35-yard line. Tony Lilly, number 22, made the tackle, a 23-yard play.
Both teams have been able to hit big runs out of that spread or shotgun formation. Rulon Jones on the nose. They drive him out. They're going pass rush all the way. There's a lot of room inside. And Collins very quickly takes advantage of it for the first down.
That's the longest run by a running back for New England this year, 23 yards.
It was 17 yards coming in, was it, by Collins?
Good fake by Eason. Underneath to Hawthorne. And Mecklenburg finally gets him down with help. Reagan came back from the nose guard to assist Mecklenburg.
Within the framework of this Denver defense, they will move Mecklenburg to any of 7 positions on that front. They'll also move Rulon Jones. He'll play all of the down positions for the linemen. But both have favorite positions. Mecklenburg likes that inside strong linebacker, Zip. And Rulon Jones likes the outside in. I think because that's where they're suited to play. What do you think their least favorite position is universally?
Probably where the coaches put them most often.
No, nose tackle. They hate going inside.
Well, that's right. Who would like that job? Good second effort by the rookie Dupart, and he's close to a first down. In fact, Toby Williams, a nose tackle for New England, described the position of nose tackle. He said it's like fighting a man in a phone booth. I mean, you're in such a crowd, and it's more than one guy, too, that's usually fighting you. You're getting hit from all sides.
It all happens very quickly inside, too, and there's not much of a chance to protect yourself.
Third and about a foot. He fakes, and he's going for it all to Morgan. He's open and misses him. Oh, the Patriots on third and short, gambling on 6, and they had Morgan deep downfield open.
An excellent fake, but Mike Harden very alertly reacted to that play. It's Morgan's foot speed that gets him free here, but that ball just outside of his reach, and credit Mike Harden, who's had an outstanding year, for a good reaction on that play.
Camarillo on 4th and inches comes in. Now, could be a fake here. Barry's done it before. Nope. Beautiful kick. Mile high. And it hits on the goal line. So Denver will start at the 20. Tony Eason ever so close to regaining the lead for the... Here in football, crazy Denver, Colorado. We talked about the big plays being made by the super players. Well, Elway has come through for Denver. Stanley Morgan for New England. So that part is held up.
And almost a second touchdown for Morgan as Eason just had it outside of his reach. You want those big players to have their opportunities in this game. They have so far, and now Elway has his hands on the ball again.
From the 20 after the long punt by Camarillo that went into the end zone. And Elway comes out throwing. Almost intercepted, but Mobley in the open. All the way to the 30-yard line. Orson Mobley.
Orson Mobley with a very big average for a tight end. We talked about his size as a target, but look at his running ability and his speed. Gets away from a tackle there, and it's Blackman, who has excellent speed as a linebacker, who finally caught him from behind on the 31-yard line.
49-yard play. Only Mark Jackson has a longer reception for Denver all year. Elway in a crowd, and it's off Jackson's fingertips at the 20. And Elway making a good throw despite the fact he was about to eat it. Tippett. Dave Studdard is down for Denver, and they could ill afford to lose this veteran left tackle.
They've had injury problems all year in that offensive line. Let's go back and watch that last play. 56, Andre Tippett driving inside. You don't want to isolate him on a back. He's on Sammy Winder, 23, and he just blew right through him, forced the quick pass. Tippett, as we mentioned, out for 5 weeks during the season, knee surgery. Came back for 2 weeks, really tuned up. Now almost back to speed. Not quite as explosive as he was, and that's good news for Denver fans. Studdard is up.
In the earlier game that sends the Giants as the host team into the NFC Championship game next Sunday, they wallop San Francisco. Sims with 4 touchdown passes. Morris rushed for 160. Montana knocked out in the first half as the Giants, at this point, no question, they are the top team in the National Football League, but they'll have to prove it again against the Redskins, a team they beat twice during the regular season next Sunday. Here it's 10-7 Denver. 3:26 left in the first half. Elway over shoots Jackson. Elway was feeling the pressure from Blackman on his backside. Did a good job. You could see him flinch a little bit before he delivered the ball. He knew Blackman had a beat on him.
John Elway is an unusual quarterback. He really does have eyes in the back of his head. Look at Jackson, though, saying, hey, I'm open, John. Shoot me that football. But Elway knew how close that linebacker was to him. In fact, Blackman actually swatted at that ball, and had Elway had that ball up in the air, might have been knocked away.
Big call, 3rd and 10.
They're looking right into the sun here.
4 wide receivers in for Denver. Elway, this is where he's dangerous. He had running room. Now he's throwing long for Mobley. Incomplete. And Mobley was there. Despite 2 defenders, Mobley had a pretty good shot at it. Claiborne and Bowman were able to bat it away.
This is one area in which Elway is unique. When a quarterback rolls out like that, he very rarely goes back across the field. With Elway, you don't dare turn those receivers loose over there. Mobley, the first man to get his hands on it, but it also bounced out of someone else's hands there. McSwain, I guess. Claiborne's hands. As he had a chance to field that ball too, but Elway is so confident in his arm that he'll go transcontinental all the way back across.
They're going to go for it on 4th and 10 at the 31. Mobley had a real good shot at it. You can see his leaping ability. Elway, and he's going to pooch it. Hello, there's a new wrinkle.
Oh, it's into the end zone.
So Elway trying to just kick it down there where they could pin New England. And they'll take the touchback at the 20 on the 31-yard punt. Pooch by Elway.
He gets 11 yards on that kick.
Meanwhile, Dave stuttered. They work on him on the sidelines, and he's limping noticeably. The calf was injured, is the report we receive. Also, Dennison injured earlier in the game, and Wilhite. They'll be checked at halftime to see whether they can play in the second half.
Stutter did not look good. Let's look at that kick. A surprise from Elway, who's a do-everything kind of an athlete. Very quickly kicks that ball, but because it goes into the end zone, only 11 yards net. They bring it out to the 20.
3 minutes, 3 seconds left in the half. Denver leads 10-7. Screen to Collins. Flag down, 2 flags down. Collins stops shy of the line of scrimmage. Carl Mecklenburg, 77.
Good acting on the part of Eason, but maybe we had a lineman breaking too quick. Play looked like it was delayed a little bit. Of course, the linemen are not allowed to cross the line until the ball is thrown.
That's the call. Ineligible man downfield. Some of the opponents would wish this man was ineligible.
Boy, they'd like to see him go somewhere else. We've seen him jump right over the top of those backs back there. That was 30 Mosi Tutupu, and he not only got down on his feet, but got all the way across and got a piece of that tackle.
That's why he is the AFC linebacker of the year.
Downfield, number 76 offense, still first down.
Ryan Holloway a bit too quick in getting downfield. Boy, that really illustrates why he's a great player. Starting on one side, fighting through Tutupu 2 times, coming the full width of the field to make the tackle for a loss. Picked in the 12th round because they thought he was too slow. He's been studying for his medical exams, pre-med school, and been up all night, all week long. Said he was too tired to run, and they tested it. Eason underneath the Collins makes a good catch at the 17. Harden was there for Denver.
Not only good catch, great catch. That ball thrown outside. Collins diving out there to get his hands on it.
Steve Grogan, when I asked him yesterday, who's the one guy that really deserves more publicity this year, and he didn't hesitate. He said, Tony Collins. He played half the year with broken ribs, never complained, does everything for you, runs it, good receiver, and a top-notch blocker. 2-minute warning here at May, the Pooch play. The line of scrimmage was between the 31 and 32, which meant a field goal would have been 49 or 50 yards. Obviously, Dan Reeves felt it was out of Carlos's range, so he went for the Pooch punt. Carlos's longest ever was this year, 51, but he would have been kicking into the wind. Second down and long. and a flag down, and so is Eason, and a fumble maybe. That'll be a hold against New England.
We talked about the defensive stars. You saw Mecklenburg in action a moment ago. That was number 75, Rulon Jones, the AFC's outstanding rushman, who's flying in left side of your screen, number 75. And it's a stunt with Mecklenburg that actually frees him up, gives him room inside, stacks up on Eason. Looks like Mecklenburg got there first, though. It was the other star who was there.
Mecklenburg drew the flag. So that's tough combination when you're trying to block them coming in from the same side.
And they are toughest when they are in tandem that way. You don't know which one to favor and how to double team both of them off the same side.
3rd and 23 from the 7-yard line. Eason from his own end zone. Underneath to Collins. And Collins, the 23, did a good job of getting New England out of the hole, despite the fact they faced 4th and 7. Timeout called by Denver with 1:45 left. Reals kicked some long ones. Now he can use the whole field. 10 men will pressure. Good solid kick. Vance Johnson drifting back to his 24. 30. And down at the 32, Mosi Tutupu made the tackle along with Greg Hawthorne. And a little bit extra. 53 yards on the punt, 13 return. Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor will be the guests of our NFL 86 crew as they celebrate a giant win, 49-3 over San Francisco.
One of the dangers of winning a game that is that one-sided is that it leaves you with a hard time to get yourself aroused and ready for the Redskins this next week. And that's particularly difficult when you've beaten a team twice during the season, Dick.
Denver trying to add to their 10-7 lead. Plenty of time. Screen to Sewell. And well done defensively. Eugene Profit was the man who submarined and spoiled the play. Profit, a rookie from Yale.
Profit pressed into action because Lepet is out of there. Ernest Gibson has gone in at corner. Made a big play there.
Elway guns. Incomplete to Sewell. Stops the clock with 1:06 left. Denver with 1 timeout. New England has all 3 of theirs. In case they could get an incomplete pass here on 3rd down and have to punt it, then the Patriots still might have a shot. But Elway is thinking much more positively. All at the 33. He has the sons in there, Watson, Sampson, Jackson, and Johnson. 4 wide receivers. Plus Steve Sewell next to Elway in the backfield. Good protection, and then it breaks down, intercepted. Johnny Rembert has the ball at the 28-yard line. Andre Tippett hit Elway, and the ball flopped right into Rembert's hands.
And Elway is limping. Elway's having trouble coming off the field. You might remember 2 years ago, Elway was hurt in that playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Had a knee injury, an injured cartilage, and he is having real trouble getting off the field. Watch the left-hand side of your screen. No, excuse me, right-hand side. Tippett has moved over inside and just flew inside to nail Elway. Elway trying to take that extra time. That ball right into the chest of Johnny Rembert, who was able to handle it. That's great athletic play on both sides.
Now we showed Mecklenburg and his hustle and desire. Save that one. You'll see why Tippett's an all-pro. Meanwhile, New England with a chance for the lead. Eason, 25, 20. And he's to the 15, and a first to fumble the ball. And they say now the ball was down at the 15 after a 14-yard scramble by Eason. And they call time with 47 seconds, and that is bad news.
That may be the cruelest blow of all as Elway heads for the locker room, and We said it at the beginning of the show. You take Elway out of that lineup, and this becomes a rather ordinary offensive team.
Elway, who played in the Pittsburgh game in the playoffs 2 years ago, and Dan Reeves told us that had he known how seriously hurt Elway was, he never would have used him, but Elway wouldn't admit that his knee was torn up. Look at the effort by Tippett. Well, you see the tail end of it. He went through a blocker underneath him, bounced up and reached around. I don't think Elway figured there's any way that he could be attacked because Tippett was on the ground.
Elway had stepped up into what he felt would be the safe part of that pocket, and Tippett just threw his body, has great body control, and came down on that left knee.
Well, there's Rembert, the happy man with the interception. Again, we talked about the big-name players, and there's Andre Tippett making a big play. Gary Kubiak is the backup quarterback for Denver. Now, here again is the effort by Tippett. He kind of gets his legs underneath Elway, and then a twist there.
You could see that knee open up.
Tippett, not knowing Elway was hurt, of course, is cheering Rembert's interception.
He's seeing the interception and knowing that his offense is going to have a chance to score here.
47 seconds left in the half. 2 timeouts remain for New England. They trail 10-7. Well covered. That's Randy Robbins playing for the injured Dennis Smith.
Beatty is somewhat like Orson Mobley, who has come on in the latter part of the year to become a very effective weapon and tool for the New England Patriots.
Just to see how in tune these Denver fans are, Merlin. You mentioned down at that closed end of the stadium, this is where you feel like they're right on your back, and they're quiet now, but now it'll build.
And watch Tony Eason. When he's ready for the snap, he'll put his hand up on his hip, the right hand on his hip.
2nd and 10. Incomplete to Irving Fryer. Tony Lilly was there with a hit, and Fryer trying to make the circus play. 3rd and 10.
Well, if there is one receiver in the league that can make the circus catch, it's this one. He must be, what, 10 feet in the air, maybe even higher, 12 feet, I'll bet, as he gets one hand on it, but unable to get both hands on it. If you remember from the highlights at the beginning of this game, the catch he made to end that Ram game in the corner of the end zone, able to pull that one down, to pull that one back from defeat.
Looked like an outfielder trying to stab a high drive. 3rd and 10, Eason in trouble. And down he goes at the 21. Mecklenburg again. The 3rd sack for the Broncos. Rulon Jones there as well, and the field goal unit for New England will try to tie it up. 28 seconds on the clock, and because of the sack, it'll be a longer shot for Franklin.
Well, this is what you would hope if you're on the Denver sideline. Tell your defense, look, you got a bad field position, get in there and shut them down. No touchdown, at worst a field goal, and maybe even a chance to get in there and block that.
38 yards to tie. Top picker in the league, Franklin, with those 31, and he drills it down the middle. And it's a new game at 10. But for the Bronco defense, they denied the Patriots the go-ahead score. And now we'll look at the backup quarterback. We understand now the injury to Elway was to his ankle. He had that twisted underneath him. That perhaps not as serious as a knee. They'll try to bind that up. We'll see if he'll be able to play in the second half.
But Elway's great strength is his mobility, Dick. And I have believed that when you can hold Elway in the pocket, he is not a great quarterback within the framework of that offense. Elway's greatness comes after the play breaks down, when he can break out of that pocket. And of course, if he has that ankle injury, his mobility will be reduced where he may not be able to do that. Kubiak, by the way, has been a very effective backup, has been able to come in several key situations. In fact, wasn't it against the Raiders that he came in and was able to pull them back in a game which he started, a must-win game for the Broncos just last year, I believe.
Well, let's introduce him. He's from Texas A&M. He was part of that class of '83, only he wasn't in the first round. He wasn't found till the 8th round, the 197th player pick. a Houston All-Stater in high school in football, baseball, and basketball, and All-State in track 2 times. So you want to talk about an all-around athlete, and there are his numbers in the NFL in his limited appearances. But we did see him a couple of years ago against the Raiders coming in a similar situation and rallied them to an upset win.
That was 2 years ago. That was 84. Now, right now, you look back at this first half, and a couple of things jump out at you. Elway's slamming of the ball, which could have cost them 4 points, which would be 4 very big points right now. The decision not to even try the field goal when they would have had a shot from 49 or 50 yards.
This will be the last play unless there's a penalty. 2 seconds showing on the clock, so Franklin will just skid it down. Ken Bell. Good effort by the rookie. All the way to the 41-yard line. And that is the end of the half. McSwain made the tackle. They're tied at 10. The winner will go to Cleveland next Sunday. And the keys are Lang and Bell. Lang on the far side. With the wind, Bell at the 2. A reverse, a fake reverse, but it does not fool 82 Derwin Williams, who makes the tackle at the 15-yard line. Dan Reeves had talked with Elway when he came out of the dressing room, and just guessing what they were saying, Merlin, it appeared that he was really asking him, okay, now, don't try to do something that's going to hurt the team. You make sure you can move a little bit.
And we'll go back to something we said earlier. Reeves saying that if he had known how badly Elway was hurt in that playoff game 2 years ago against Pittsburgh, he would not have allowed him to play. He does not want to jeopardize the future of John Elway for 1 game.
And there's another side. A healthy second-string quarterback might be better than a wounded first. Well, we'll see. The other is the ground game takes on added importance. Sammy Winder for about 3. The statistics in the first half, and New England, a bit of a surprise, outrushed Denver by 20 yards.
And we showed you how pathetic that New England rushing attack had been, but also a reminder that Denver has not stopped to run well late in the year. Gave up 298 yards to Seattle in their last game. Looking down, passing yardage, 165. Denver with the edge there. A couple of big shots by Elway. 2 turnovers on the Denver side. None for New England. They've been so good at that all year long.
They were plus 16 on the regular season, second only to San Francisco in the turnover margin. Elway just does get it away incomplete to Vance Johnson. And no sympathy from Don Blackman, who was really putting a charge on Elway.
Elway slow getting back. And this is going to be a problem for him. Watch the drop. It's the left ankle that is hurt, and you see him, he can't really push off that ankle. He's got instant pressure from the outside from Blackman, and believe me, they will come after Elway now. When Elway is healthy, you don't want to blitz him because he can break out of there and run and get extra with time. But now I think the New England defensive plan will change.
He might be more effective out of the shotgun because then he doesn't have that back step. He now has, in essence, a triple right formation with Sewell in motion. Sewell is open. He doesn't see him. Now he throws to Johnson, complete. Close to a first down at the 25. I think he's got it.
Well, it's all in the mark.
Ernest Gibson, the man who made the tackle, is hurt. First down, Denver.
It would appear from watching Elway in this situation that his problem is not to run the ball, but probably to cut and plant. He moves pretty good off there, and there's nothing wrong with Elway's arm. You better believe that.
But he did throw off the right foot, not the left foot, on this toss to Johnson. That was a good move, and he had to push off the left ankle, but there he threw off the right foot. First down at the 25. Draw. Winder. A couple. Lawrence McGrew played at University of Southern California, made the tackle. They're the top runners thus far. What isn't on that statistic, when you see the 2 quarterbacks, is the fact that Raymond Berry went to a Greg Hawthorne, Reggie Dupart backfield, and actually they gave them a little spark in that second quarter.
Both teams have alternated a lot of players. New England, for example, putting a lot of defensive linemen and linebackers into the game, trying to keep them fresh in pursuit of Elway.
Gibson is okay. He's still in at the left corner. Screen to Winder. Blockers. 35, 40, first down. Paul Howard, number 60, threw a fine block.
Chance for Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator, to use his expertise. He knows that they're eager to get at Elway. He said, okay, come in on Elway. We'll throw this little screen. Watch the blocking out in front. 64, Billy Bryant, center, doing a good job of getting that first man down.
Well, it's important for Denver to move the ball with their wounded quarterback, and they are. This is Gene Lang out to the 49. A gain of about 7 more. Tippett with a tackle.
When your main man is hurt, you got to rally around, give him a little extra. I'm sure he's asking from that whole offense, from the offensive linemen, the running backs, receivers, all of them.
Watson left, Vance Johnson to the right. Both Winder and Lang. And that's another part of the strategy, keeping perhaps a back end to help out Elway. In this case, it's a run, and Lang to the 36-yard line. Marion and Gibson with a tackle.
Well, maybe that injury to Elway has ignited the intensity level of this Bronco team. They've responded well in this initial drive, and you sense a tentativeness about New England's defense. I thought they would really come out and attack Elway. They have not done that.
This opening drive of the second half, Denver with another first down at the 35 of New England. Ken Bell, who played in Patriot country at Boston College, was a free agent selection of Denver this year. Grant Williams, Lawrence McGrew teamed up on the tackle.
Mentioned the offensive side, the offensive line. Billy Bryant, the center. Bishop on that side to guard Paul Howard, number 60, coming around to get a block. They were able to open some room inside. Dan Rimsberg playing in there in place of Dave Studdard. Now there's Rod Rust calling the defensive signals for New England. Along with Steve Nelson, his injured linebacker.
Beautiful move by Winder, ducked inside and then flipped outside for 13. Orson Mobley, he set up the block for his tight end.
I think Elway is worried about his ankle. He's not worried about his ankle. He turns around to try and block on this play. He's got Tippett lined up. Now watch him. He's going to bang on Tippett.
I'm not sure he was attacking him.
Or maybe just trying to get out of the way. But Winder finding room outside with a first down, and this is a most impressive drive. Elway still limping.
There's a fresh back, and he's running that way. McGrew made the tackle, and Lang chews up another 6 yards. That line is really beating New England's on this drive.
Now this is a rejuvenated offense, and they are going to a part of their game that was so strong early in the year, or much stronger earlier in the year. It has not been a powerful part of their attack, but it's been almost negligent during the last half of the season. They've got it going here.
Second and a short five. Bell. And the rookie is first and goal inside the 5. That's 57 yards rushing on this drive. You can bet Reeves talked to that offense and said, hey, we got 30 minutes to play. If you want to go to Cleveland, let's everybody dig down deep.
You know what's interesting? So often when you have a great player like an Elway, you tend to lean on him very heavily. A lot of other people, I think, at halftime said, hey, John is hurt. We got to suck it up and go.
First and goal, 5 yards away. Lang up down by Don Blackman. No, it was Lawrence McGrew, number 50. Blackman was there, but it was McGrew down low for a good hit.
Keith Bishop, number 54. Several of those big plays right in behind him. Of course, he's getting his first opportunity to head out to the Pro Bowl. First Denver offensive lineman ever accorded that honor, ever.
And Elway's the first Denver quarterback
First
ever.
time a quarterback's gone from Denver, too.
Gain of a yard, 2nd and goal. Winder, and Tippett was there to greet him. No gain. Is he a player? Andre Tippett, 6'3", 241 pounds from Iowa. Second-degree black belt athlete. That's one star matched against another. Tippett on defense for New England. Elway for the Broncos. 3rd and goal at the 4.
They're doing it on the ground. They're going right at that New England defense.
Shotgun. And to give to Lang. Doesn't work. 52, Johnny Rembert. Slashing through from a linebacker's spot. Did he read that well? And so from the 5, they're able to gain not an inch. It's 4th and goal, and the ball is in the same spot as where that series began.
Although that takes some of the sting out of it, takes some of the heat out of that drive, as Denver will try for the field goal. That's a most impressive start in this second half by the Denver offense.
It'll be a 22-yard field goal attempt by Carlos. Zoom 9 minutes and 10 seconds. Kept Elway warm on the field, and he's not sitting down, continuing to walk the sidelines to keep that ankle loose.
The danger is if it stiffens up on him, he may not be able to go. And you sense the way this team has responded to that injury. It really got them juiced up and firing out. Let's see if it's done the same for the Denver defense.
Steffen Starring, the deep man on the goal line. Carlos drills it. Starring at the 1. Toppled at the 22-yard line. Oh, the Broncos open the second half with a wounded quarterback Elway, but they get 3 and the Lin's turn. They trail by 3.
New England loves its nicknames. That's Steve Big House Moore down with a broken ankle that keeps him out. And that made room on the roster for another man. Well-traveled, Bill Whitehouse Bain.
Those aren't houses. That's a development. Whitehouse Bain. Boy, he never leaves. From the 32, it is number 22. It's number 32, Craig James. And the ex-Pony from SMU gallops to the 39, a 17-yard gain. I think that's his longest rush of the entire year.
Both teams with the same idea in the second half, Dick, as they come right out to the running game. Mosi Tutupu running right over Louis Wright. Good job of breaking out of 2 tackles and out of a 3rd as James gets that ball up to the 39-yard line.
His longest prior run was 16 yards. James again. Uh-oh. Not this time. Fred Gilbert, Ricky Hunley, Rulon Jones. -2. Rod Rust talking with his defense.
Talking specifically to Johnny Rembert. We mentioned how he misses Steve Nelson, his coordinator on the field. Rembert pushed into that responsibility, and Rust talking to him specifically, I'm sure, about the things that were not done well on that drive as Denver just marched down the field and ate up the clock.
4:20 left in the 3rd quarter. 13-10 Denver. Beatty, the tight end, and he fights to the 50, and depending on the mark, that could be a first down. Jim Ryan made the tackle. Beatty, in his senior year at Stanford, caught 61. Of course, early on, he was a young freshman when a man named Elway was running the ship at the farm there in Palo Alto. It is a first down. Late in the third quarter. Denver scored first, then Eason to Morgan 7-3. Then Elway on a 22-yard scramble made it 10-7 Denver after a Rembert interception when Elway was hurt. Franklin kicked the field goal to tie it at the half. Carlos a short field goal to give Denver the lead here in the second half. And flags go flying as James is knocked down at midfield, and one has to suspect holding.
Or a face mask call, perhaps.
Yep, it is the defense, right. Or Hundley was in there as well.
Louis Wright coming quickly up from the outside. Stephen Starring trying to knock him off, get him away.
Face
Louis
mask.
reached inside,
5-yard
right
penalty
there.
Number 20 defense, still first
Saw
down.
Craig James's head snapped back, but Louis only given a 5-yard penalty. We saw a 15-yard assessed earlier for the same kind of play.
Yeah, that looked pretty dangerous from that angle, didn't it?
Well, maybe because he didn't really get him down. The extra 10 yards for not making the tackle, perhaps.
First down and 5. Hawthorne, bottom of your screen, used as a wing in motion. They run the other way with Tutupu and then throw back to Eason. They're looking for Morgan deep. He's there. Touchdown! What a throw by Eason. Louis Wright had pretty good coverage on Morgan. 45-yard touchdown.
The kind of play and the kind of trickery that we have associated in the past with the Denver Broncos, it pays big dividends here as they toss that ball back on the flea flicker and find themselves looking up at the scoreboard in a lead. They'll try and make it even bigger with this extra point.
And Stanley Morgan, who had 2 critical touchdowns in the Miami win to clinch the Eastern Championship, has 2 more today. That one going 45 yards. And New England bounces back in the lead. Franklin adds the extra point. And it's 17-13.
Tutupu, a little throw back, and that must be backward to allow for the forward pass, and Eason airs it out. Stanley Morgan had to wait for it just a little, but not enough to deny.
And the crowd revved up now in Denver as the Broncos have fallen behind 17-13. Tony Franklin to Kendall. He acted as if he wanted to not run it out and might better have taken the touchback. He's out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Here's the touchdown move by Morgan.
Watch Louis Wright. Louis knows he's got a problem here. He makes the wrong guess. He guessed that Morgan was going to go to the corner. Morgan went inside, and Louis just inches short of being there to knock it away.
Quarter late. New England with a razzle-dazzle. Tutupu, a backward pass to Eason. Eason to the brilliant Stanley Morgan to take the lead 17-13. And now Elway on a bad wheel goes to work from his own 14. Open. Joey Hackett, the tight end. Rarely throw to him. Make that Bobby Mitchell, 87. They don't throw to him. That's the first pass he's caught all year. They picked him up from San Diego on waivers late in the year. He was a former Bronco. And a big call, big play, 20 yards.
And Mitchell taking this one as Elway stays right dead in the pocket. We'll find out how good a pocket passer Elway is. Looked pretty good on that one.
2 minutes, 8 seconds left, third quarter. Fake to Winder. Elway, open, Vance Johnson. Appears to be good for about 10 more. Lawrence McGrew there for New England. Might be a half-yard shy of a first down.
And after a first half pretty well dominated by the defenses, a lot of short drives, a lot of 3 and out, suddenly we've come out in the second half. Long drive Denver, long drive spectacular score New England, and Denver starting off powerfully here with their second possession.
3 down, 2nd and 1. They have a double tight end. Actually, 3 tight ends are in. Mobley, Hackett, and Mitchell. Winder. There's said, let's get that first down and then think about something else. 47-yard line. Roland James made the tackle. Clock ticking down near the 1-minute mark in the third. Let's take a look at the all-pro linebacker Tippett, 56.
Tippett a little bit late getting off on the ball. Held outside that time. Oh!
Think he isn't strong?
Upper body strength and the use of leverage. That's the kind of thing you learn to earn a black belt.
First down, Denver at the 47. Winder up the middle for about 5. At middle of the Bronco line, Billy Bryan from Duke, the center, Keith Bishop, who makes the Pro Bowl from Baylor, and the veteran Paul Howard, who's now 36 years old, the oldest guard in the NFL. They're the men who are the key to what running game the Broncos have. Up the middle would be the last play of the third quarter. Off the chest of Watson, no flag. Defense by Claiborne. On his way to the Pro Bowl himself.
There must have been a few words exchanged on that one. Watson has only one pass on the day, that one for 21 yards. You see the initial bump, Claiborne nailing in behind. Yeah, that's not the kind of thing you review for penalties, but it looked like that was perfect timing, or maybe slightly imperfect timing. Of course, you're seeing it in slow motion and not at actual speed.
Big third down call. Oops! And they're going to get a free one out of this. Elway's looking for 7. He's got a man. Touchdown! Vance Johnson. The penalty is against whom? If it's against New England, obviously. The Broncos refuse. No signal yet. Let's wait. Jerry Seaman will tell us.
Offside.
The critical mistake here is that when they jumped offside, New England's defensive line stopped. And in doing that, gave Elway all the time he needed. It looked like everyone thought it was not going to be a play. Well, it's not only a play, it's a freebie, and Elway gets the 6 out of it.
So the closing play of the third quarter, Elway to the speedy Vance Johnson, who is an Olympic hopeful from the University of Arizona in the long jump. Beats Ernest Gibson.
Ernest Gibson actually misjudged that ball. The ball underthrown. Had the ball been thrown long, he might have had it. But Johnson came back and pulled it into the end zone.
Carlos for the extra point. 15 minutes to go at Mile High Stadium in Denver, unless we have a tie. And the score, the Broncos 20, the Patriots 17. An impressive 86-yard drive. Elway to Vance Johnson. 48 yards for the touchdown. Elway got 77 of the 86 yards with his passes. And they're on their feet at Mile High Stadium as Denver has regained the lead. 20-17. The fourth quarter begins. It's a moonshot to Starring. Let's go back to the touchdown. And the fact that with the offside, watch Rembert. He will relax. He's looking for a whistle to stop the play. So he doesn't even charge, kind of ambles in a while. And that gives Elway all that extra time. And not only was it Rembert, it was the entire defense of New England relaxing.
At the other end, it's Ernest Gibson playing for the injured Ronnie Lepet. And I think there was a panic there. I think he lost the ball and he panicked. Watch Elway. He knows how big that play is.
New England with the ball, trailing by 3. Irving Fryer for 7 yards. Lewis Wright made the tackle. There's Vance Johnson. He says he still thinks he can make the Olympic team in '88 as a long jumper, and he's continuing to train seriously. Well, if you jump about 28 and reverse those numbers, then you'll be there, Vance, in Seoul, Korea. Second and 3, and the crowd really trying to help the Broncos. Got blockers. And James out of bounds at the 34 with a first down. Tony Lilly. That's a name you wouldn't expect from a defensive hitter, but Lilly, he really will pop you. He doesn't look, he'd win on What's My Line. They call him George Michael. He looks like the lead singer of Wham. The Wham part works in his play behavior.
There's the pop on the sideline. Craig James, watch James come up right after him. He wants a piece of Lilly. Quickly restrained on the sideline by his teammates.
First down across the 34. 1 minute gone, fourth quarter. Denver 20, New England 17. Tony Collins. Rulon Jones tripped him up. And there was Tom Jackson to make sure he didn't go farther.
Very difficult for Eason to call an audible, and it's hard to get those signals called. You're kind of tentative. You can't hear the quarterback that well. This is where that crowd really comes into play, and that home field advantage peaks out. Listen to him now.
Ball had been kicked away, so time is called.
Brock has already, I think, told Eason it's a count that will start when he snaps the ball. When Eason is ready, now Brock snaps it.
Down the middle, almost intercepted by Steve Wilson, number 45, in front of Irving Fryer.
You feel a shift in this game, Dick, and Denver fans elated. But let's not forget how many times this year New England has come from behind, has come down to the final seconds, and still managed to pull games out. They know how to win. They're not afraid to pull it out and come from behind. Hogan knows how to call some plays out of his hat, too, as he did on that flea flicker.
3rd and 9. Fumble! Oh. And it went into the arms of Pete Brock, 58, the center, who saved disaster for Eason. Mecklenburg was in on the pressure of Eason.
We talked about the stars on defense for this Bronco team. Number 77, the AFC's outstanding linebacker, Carl Mecklenburg, driving inside, reached back inside, and just tapped that football, knocked it free. Very fortunate that Denver does not have the ball. At least they get the yardage of the kick here.
Vance Johnson playing for the injured Gerald Wilhite and punt for Mason, and he's going to look at a long high one from Camarillo to the 14. Rod McSwain cuts him down with a good open field tackle at the 21-yard line. 12 and a half minutes remain. Denver with the ball and a 20-17 lead. Ball at the 22-yard line. Camarillo's had 4 kicks over 50 today. The last was 55. This is Lang into the clear. All the way to the 36-yard line. A gain of 14. Marion and Rembert with a tackle.
Excellent blocking on the outside as they were able to pin Don Blackman inside. McGrew held down inside as well. That's an excellent hold there to keep him inside, but nonetheless, Lang breaks it on the outside for good yardage.
Chipped in with 48 yards today. That's more than half his total for the whole year. Ooh, Elway unable to elude the pressure. That's the first time he's been sacked, and it was Don Blackman that got him at the 32.
One of the big differences in this game has been the kind of protection that Elway has had. You're absolutely right, Dick. They have not gotten him to him today. He scrambled a few times to get away, and you've got to believe if Elway were healthy, he'd probably get away from that one as well. But Blackman is there to put the hooks on him and bring him down. And one of the things that Dan Reeves has been criticized for by the press here in Denver is sitting on a lead, not being as aggressive they feel as he should be when his team is ahead. This is not a team you want to sit on a lead against.
2nd and 15. Inside handoff to Sewell, read well by the Patriots. 65, Mike Ruth. He's the Outland Award winner, 2nd-round draft pick of the Patriots from Boston College, who has been on the disabled list most of the year. He was just activated yesterday.
He heads to the sideline as they switch their people again, and they're trying to keep their people fresh. The interior of that defensive line still has not provided them the kind of pressure that they want on Elway. Elway out of the shotgun here.
3rd and 14. Going deep. Mark Jackson, number 80, showing his speed. He's a little flyer from Purdue. They really caught themselves lightning in a bottle with him. The veteran Claiborne tested by Jackson, who's only 5'9", but he can fly.
During this season, Jackson became the big play threat. The absence of Vance Johnson. Dick, he absolutely misjudged that ball. I don't think he believed that Elway was strong enough just to unload it and put it out there. If he hadn't slowed down a little bit, that's a touchdown.
10:25 left in the 4th. 3-point lead. Moran to kick to Fryer. Fryer inside the New England 20. No fair catch. Ooh, Steve Wilson was close. And Fryer doesn't get much to the 21, and that's all. Darren Como and Rick Dennison with a tackle. Of a near-miss long bomb. Watch Jackson as he works down the sidelines on Claiborne. He will take a couple of little quick hitches. There's
right
one.
There. Again, and look how close this is to being caught. If he had just taken one more long step in there, that's a touchdown.
New England ball at the 21 with 10 minutes, 12 seconds remaining. Eason to Beatty, the tight end, to the 29. Jim Ryan, number 50.
Dick talking to Merle Moore, linebacker coach for the Broncos. He said, the big thing that scares you when you play a team like New England, you can be in the right place, doing the right thing 90% of the time, 95% of the time. But when they have that speed, when they have those stars we talked about earlier, they only need a couple of big plays to beat you. Right now, Denver's trying to keep them from getting those big plays.
Stanley Morgan is the man wide left. He has 2 touchdown catches, 3 catches and 100 yards for Morgan. What a play by Hundley. The inside linebacker stops James Cole in his own backfield. I asked Hundley if he made any New Year's resolutions. We visited yesterday. He said, yes, I'm going to be in the Pro Bowl next year. That's my resolution.
Well, the way he's played the last part of the season, he may be absolutely right. He could not play in Joe Collier's defense for a long time because Collier demands experience, and there's so many complex adjustments to make in there. But when he learned the ropes, he has really become a dominant force.
That was a yard loss, so 3rd and 3. New England 1 for 9 in 3rd down conversions. They get this one to Tony Collins, but a flag is down. Collins out to the 48-yard line. Foley made the tackle. Now let's check the penalty. It's a 20-yard play if. Holding Denver, so they'll take the penalty. I mean, they'll take the down, obviously, out at the 48-yard line.
Holding number 45 defense prior to the pass. Penalty will be declined. 1st down.
Steve Wilson, number 45, the man in the center of your screen, working on, what's that, Willie? No, that's
Irving
Stanley
Fryer.
Morgan.
Irving Fryer.
Oh, all right, 80. Irving Fryer, 2 grabs, only allowed 1 bump within that 5-yard zone, and can't hang
30 seconds left in the fourth. Denver leads by 3. Craig James ad-libs for a couple to the 50.
Tony Easton, I'm sure, glad that he's finally pulling away from the closed end of Mile High Stadium. Although the noise can be deafening at the other end, not nearly as serious because of the configuration there. They should be able to hear perhaps even audibles down at that end, whereas down in the closed end, almost nothing when that crowd is roaring.
Well, the Redskins make a lot of noise, and they're sold out year after year, the longest string. Denver is second, sold out for 17 years. For outdoor stadia, those two stand out in terms of noise. Eason almost intercepted by Wilson. That's 2 that Steve Wilson has had his hands on. So we're going for starring.
So many times after a player has been called for a foul, that adrenaline pumps, and you'll see him come back and make a big play. So it is for Steve Wilson, called for holding on the last play, almost makes the big interception here on Eason, who's been clean on that side of the slate all day.
This is where Denver, with their complex defenses, they have Wilson in there as an extra back, playing that receiver man for man underneath, and he's made a couple of big plays. Here they come, full blitz. Eason is down. No fumble. Freddie Gilbert, number 90. There's a man who's really come into his own. He has 5 sacks on the year himself. Gilbert from Georgia played with the New Jersey Generals in the USFL.
You want to shut a quarterback down? Put him on the ground. Eason feeling the heat, trying to get out of there. Still no open receiver, and almost fumbled that football as Gilbert stripped him down from behind. Good speed from Freddie Gilbert.
Camarillo, another punt. Vance Johnson back at the 10. Johnson, very fair catch at the 13. Tutupu is the man with a one-arm tackle at the 17. Freddie Gilbert, former Dog visit of this year, the AFC Championship game, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 o'clock in the West. The winner at Cleveland. Tony Franklin, the kicker for the Patriots, anticipating that he might be in a position where he could tie the game with a field goal. We'll be watching him closely. But Denver has the ball and the lead by 3. They'll try to chew up some time as they did so effectively on other drives this half. Out of bounds at the 23 is Winder. Roland James got him out of bounds.
The Broncos have found their rushing game here in the playoffs, and that's what they would like to do as they drive upfield. You mentioned the earlier drive, first drive of the second half, 9 minutes and 10 seconds. They don't need to do nearly that well to kill this clock and walk out of here with a victory.
Second and between 4 and 5. Draw. Winder, big hole. First down at the 34. Fred Marion stopped him. Another long gain on the ground. 11 for Winder. There's Franklin. He said, he loves to kick here, he said, but the problem is the middle of the field. He said, well, it's like the top of my head. He said, it's sparse and knobby.
Well, it is that. Worn down, although for this time of year, you can't find a better playing surface, a better natural playing surface in any kind of country that's this far above sea level, believe me.
Nor a better day on which to play.
No way.
65 degrees at kickoff time. Still must be around 50. First down. And it closes in on Winder that time after a couple. Garin Veras and Lawrence McGrew. The Patriots, who have not rushed the ball well, in fact, the worst rushing team per average in 20 years in the NFL, did well the first half, but the Broncos, as they beat New England in the second half in the 4th game of the year, 27-20, have established the running game in the second half.
But in that game, they went up inside. Here, they've mixed it. Some very good runs outside as well.
Winder going outside. And then back inside to the 41. That'll leave him about 3 yards shy of the first down. Blackman and Rembert with a tackle, and Winder nicked on the play.
Speaking of injuries, if you ever had question about Elway's toughness, I think it's answered today. Not only able to come back in this second half with a badly sprained ankle, but it has not slowed him down.
Excuse me, Merlin. Looks like they're about 8 or 10. When you look what's happened in the playoffs. Yesterday, double overtime, Jets in Cleveland. Here it's coming down to a field goal game late in Denver.
No question about that, Dick. Hard to pick a team, and I felt somebody would emerge about midway in the season. Actually, we had teams backing up in the midway of the season, and now it's down to the final strokes, and, well, we've still got some deciding to do. Right now, Denver has to be concerned about Winder and Howard, 2 of their main men on offense.
We're on the sidelines on this 3rd and 3. Away. And it's deflected incomplete. No flag. Some of the fans wanted offside. This play seemed to be in trouble from the start.
The timing was off on the play. As Sewell came back into the backfield, deflected out of there by Andre Tippett, number 56, another big play. Or was that Brent Williams, number 96? You can see the 6 jumping out at you clearly.
Young man from Toledo. So 4th down, under 5 minutes left. 4:57. Horan to punt. He's done a good job today. 47-yard average. Pryor, ever dangerous. Given a hole, he could break one.
Good kick. Wow.
And he gets a roll to the 11-yard line, 10-yard line. Mike Horan, a team troubled with poor punting all year. He has really come through in the last parts of this season and has had his best day here in the playoffs. That one good for 50.
Maybe the 3rd time is the charm.
41st annual Hula Bowl on NBC Sports on Sports World next Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Paul Palmer, that fine runner from Temple. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's great quarterback. Jackie Sherrill, Bo Schembechler, the coaches. That's next Saturday on NBC. And then on Sunday at 12 noon in the East, 9 in the West, 10 here in Rocky Mountain Country. The AFC Championship. Will it be New England or will it be Denver at Cleveland? 90 yards away. Collins with a good game. Clock stop as he goes out of bounds at the 18. Jim Ryan with the tackle.
Locked up.
Close in where we were standing, where it was so almost eerie and quiet earlier this morning.
This crowd knows that they can have an impact on the game. You saw the record there at how tough Denver is at home. Let's let you listen to their part of it.
On top to Morgan. And he was open again behind right. Gave him that little hitch move and then a streak. Eason too long on the throw. So it'll be 3rd and 2. We might add to the home record of Denver, second only to the Bears in the last 3 years. The Patriots and everyone in football just amazed by their stat on the road. 7 wins, 1 loss this year, and the loss was here, 27-20 to New England. Otherwise, we'd be playing in New England today.
A unique confidence that they have, instilled in part by their success in the playoffs last year en route to the Super Bowl, but they just have the confidence they can do it on the road in front of somebody else's crowd.
3rd and 2. Collins doesn't make it. He stops shy at the 20.
Now you've got to ask the question, will Raymond Berry go for it here on 4th down? It's only about 1.5 feet, 2 feet to go. Kicking team not on the field yet, and I believe they're going to go for it. He is. There it is. He's calling timeout. Well, he wants some time to think about it.
I'm not sure with all the timeouts left. Well, now they got the clock running again. Now they've stopped it at 4:01.
I think Barry is concerned they may not get another chance. He's remembering that long drive that Denver put together to start this quarter. And there's no question they're running out of opportunities. If this is not the last, it may well be the next to the last. Easton over there to have his say. Grogan, of course, will have his. And I think it will be Barry that will make this choice.
But he will certainly allow everyone to voice their opinion. Barry, I mean, it's such a unique situation in the first place. Here you got the second-string quarterback, Grogan, the veteran, calling the plays. I mean, this is part of the difference that Barry brings to head coaching. But he will make bold decisions.
You're right about them running the clock down. They're now resetting that clock.
It appears, at least at this point.
I still think they're going for it, yeah.
It does appear that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Rod Humanic also in that huddle. A man that Barry has depended on strongly to help him form that New England Patriot offense. And you got to believe there's all kinds of strategy going on the other side. Joe Collier has gathered his defensive troops over there. He's talking about the possibilities with them.
Here comes the punting team.
Yeah, well, it was nice to speculate momentarily, playing the percentages.
But it cost them a timeout, which would be critical. Vance Johnson back at his 35. Now, Camarillo, who's rooted some long ones, this is where Barry hopes he'll get his best.
Well, and let's see what happens now. If they don't get another shot at it, they'll wonder why they didn't go for it.
4:04 left. Oh, his poorest kick.
He gets the roll.
What a roll. What a roll. And out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Oh, my. End over end. Camarillo says that's good to be lucky as well. He gets 59 on that one. 5 times he's kicked over 50 yards today, and Horn has been his match, the kicker for Denver. Elway with 3:54 left. You know what he wants to do.
You saw the running yardage that they've been able to amass in the second half. No question that they will try and control the clock. Best way to do that, run the ball, keep it in bounds. On the other side, New England, that has been very good at stripping the ball away, will be thinking turnover, and at worst, 3 and out of here. We need to give our offense one more shot.
Ed Reynolds makes the tackle on Gene Lang. And Lang's freshness and quick bursts have been a key factor. And now he's limping coming out. And Winder, of course, already hurt. They'll go in with 3 tight ends.
Winder had been averaging 5.7 per carry, had 97 yards on the day before he left the game. He's out of the game, and now Lang is out. 2 offensive linemen have been replaced in there. Mark Cooper's in there. Dan Remsburg is in there in place of the injured.
Inside. Not much there for Lang. That's Winder back in. Winder has returned. McGrew makes the tackle. Clock running, 3 minutes remaining. This is a huge play. 3rd down and 4. New England needs the ball. They trail by 3. Tony Franklin, who kicked 31 field goals this year, 140 points. He was far and away the top point getter in the NFL.
He had 14 in a row during that winning streak in the middle of the year. Seven wins in a row. I think he was 14 for 14.
14 in a row. Elway is going to call time. So each team uses a timeout just to be sure. 2:39 left. They consumed, as you saw, it was at 3 minutes before the play. So they did consume a lot of time before calling the timeout. Such an interesting huddle. The 3 quarterbacks. You don't see that on any other NFL team where it has so much impact.
Well, and thinking about the kind of finishes that we have had here on NBC, the last 4 ball games, big games we put up. Rose Bowl coming down to the final wire. Fiesta Bowl down to the last play. Of course, yesterday's double overtime.
That's first important piece of information. It was New England that called the timeout. So they have 1 remaining. 1 left for the Patriots.
Trying to preserve that clock, and here we are again, coming right down to the wire.
down, and should Denver make a first down, they could all but chew up the rest of the time, because New England has only the 2-minute and 1 timeout left. So this, for the Patriots, 3rd and 4 is their play, and for the Broncos, a chance to win it right here from the shotgun. And they'll run it with Sewell.
He's got it.
First down at the 36. Out of bounds with 2:32 left. And now it'll take something special for New England.
That really puts the pressure on. We talked about Sewell as a runner from that wide receiver position, and that's exactly what he did. Comes all the way from the outside. They hand him the ball. They get an extra blocker in the process, and he just steams around to a first down.
Raymond Berry has preached all year long. The highs and lows, let them flow through, play the full 60 minutes. His team has had an incredible, uncanny knack of coming up with plays in a situation where it seems so dark. There's a timeout, New England. It's last with 2:26 remaining.
Clock will stop automatically now at the 2-second or the 2-minute warning. But there's not going to be a lot of time left, even if they can stop them in 3 and force the punt.
Winder now over 100 yards. Only the second time all year Denver has rushed for only one player has rushed for over 100 yards in a game.
Winder playing hurt. Elway playing hurt. Very courageous second half for this Bronco team.
Yeah, while we have a moment sometimes it gets away from us, we want to thank those who are responsible. Our executive producer, Michael Weissman. Ted Nathanson, our director, and Larry Cirillo, our producer, for all the pictures and sounds, and all the men and women who have brought you the action from Denver today. And here in the booth, the cord to Joe Costanza, Mark Friedman, Merritt Cohn, Louis Weiner, Ray Friedman, Cliff Dodge, Phil Olson, and we'll all be back together again on the banks of Lake Erie. Giant Cleveland Stadium, the Browns, Marty Schottenheimer with that dramatic double overtime win yesterday against the winner today.
Be a lot of orange in that stadium, but I don't believe those are going to be Bronco fans back there at Cleveland.
Second down, 7. 2:26 left. It's Lang. Stopped short of the first down by Garen Veras at about the 43. That's 3 yards shy of the first down, and Denver will let it run down to the 2-minute mark. So 2 minutes will be left. 3rd and 3 will be the call, and New England cannot stop the clock. The best they can do is stop Denver, force a punt, and have about a minute to go for a field goal. 2 minutes left.
CEO, I had the opportunity to ride to Los Angeles with him after that crushing defeat in Seattle. His emotions much different at that time than they are at this moment, as he's covering his eyes. He doesn't want to see this play.
Now that's a good CEO. When in trouble, just close your eyes and hope. The ball is at the 43. Elway has converted 5 of 14 third downs. If New England does not stop Denver on this 3rd and 3, you can make your reservations for Cleveland if you're a Bronco fan.
And Dan Reeves will have his first playoff victory as a Bronco coach.
But the Patriots, should they stop Denver, will get a final shot at it. Two good things happened for New England. One, they stopped him short of the first down, and 2, they knock him out of bounds. So 1:55 left. Oh, was that a big play? They gambled on going wide, and of course the risk there is that you can get knocked out of bounds. Can't blame Lang. He's trying for the first down. Veras makes the biggest hit of his life.
And watch Mike Ruth, 65, chasing from the inside to force Lang wide. He forced him right into Blackman, and then the inside-out pursuit by Veras to knock him out of bounds.
That was a remarkable block tackle, because if he hits him low in an orthodox tackle, he can fall forward. He just blocked him out of bounds. 4th and 1. Horan to kick. Pryor back at the 12. 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Return is on, and what a kick. Boy, what a beautiful kick. To the 1-yard line. And Pryor gambling, and a bad gamble it was. That ball would have been a touchback at the 20. You save time and get better position. Pryor perhaps feeling his own abilities could break a long one. Instead, they'll start at the 10.
Coaches will tell the defensive man or the punt receiver, if he's inside the 7-yard line, let it go. Let it get into the end zone. But I'm sure you're right. Pryor is thinking big return. He knows he has that kind of talent, but he makes it even tougher on Eason and the offense.
Great 54-yard punt by Horan. 90 yards away. Actually, there's 55 yards away from a field goal attempt. It won't matter. Safety, Rulon Jones. And they're celebrating in Denver. Free kick with 1:37, and of course the free kick from the 20 can be an onside kick, and that's New England's only hope as they trail 22-17. Jones' second sack of the day, and his safety, he's been quite adept at that. He has 3 safeties in his career, and one this year. That's 4, plus this is 5.
Time to come up with your best football when it counts. Rulon Jones hadn't had a sack in 5 weeks. 2 here today, and that one may be the biggest play of his career.
Eason, of course, deep in his own end, having to throw, and not much time to do it. Jones, father of 4 children, lives out in the country. He loves his football, but when he leaves the stadium, he says, I go home with my kids to teach them the outdoors, what my dad and what my granddad taught me. That's what life is all about. But on the field, oh, what a Tiger.
AFC Defensive Lineman of the Year, and more honors in store for him tomorrow.
All right, now the onside kick. Look at the position. New England has all their players on the left side except for 1. So Denver will balance on the other side. And it's Camarillo, not the place kicker Franklin, who will try the onside kick.
It still must go 10 yards. The same rules apply here.
But Denver can cover it inside that 10. It's a pretty good one, but covered by Vance Johnson. Or is it Tony Lilly? Lilly recovers it, and this game is history. Ball is at the 31-yard line with 1:35 left. New England has no timeouts. This is just a matter of a clean execution of a center to quarterback snap. Last year, it was New England, the surprise team, long shot, wild card, winning against the Jets, and then in Los Angeles, then in Miami to go to the Super Bowl. And this year, for the first time under Dan Reeves, the hopes of the Denver Broncos are alive as they'll go to Cleveland. The most valuable player, sponsored by Budweiser, John Elway of Denver. Budweiser makes a contribution to the United Way on behalf of the MVPs selected throughout the course of our year. John Elway's courage certainly rewarded in that regard more than those numbers, but 13 completions, 252 yards, and injured with an ankle, he refused to go to the sidelines. For New England, it was another remarkably fine year. The home field advantage won by Denver when they beat New England here earlier could have been the difference for Raymond Berry's team.
On that sideline, Reeves has gotten his team to rebound from what they had to feel was one of their worst defeats ever under Reeves. In fact, so bad they said it was the worst game they'd ever played defensively here in Denver.
The final seconds and the final emotions. Well aware of that, Walsh reminding his players they want to go 5-1, stay with the Rams in the West. We're underway. It spins down at the 7-yard line. DeBose, the former Nebraska star, at the 20. On his feet to the 25. Knocked out of bounds by Sam Grady and Tyrone Braxton. An 18-yard return. Here come the 49ers and Joe Montana, Tom Rathman, and Roger Craig. The Husker back attack. Two former Nebraska Cornhuskers, Craig and Rathman. Wilson and the brilliant Jerry Rice on the outside. Ron Heller for the injured John Frank at tight end. Steve Wallace, Jesse Stopolo, Randy Cross, the veteran at center. Guy McIntyre and Harris Barton, the front five. Rice to the left. Wilson also on that side. Montana throws on first down. Dumps it off to Rathman. And the fullback gains 3 in the grasp of Simon Fletcher, number 73. It'll be second down and 7. Defensively for the Broncos, Walt Boyer for the injured Freddie Gilbert. Greg Kraken on the nose. Andre Townsend. The linebackers led by Carl Mecklenburg, number 77. Fletcher, Dennison, and Ryan completing that core. On the corners, Mark Haynes and Jeremiah Castile, with Randy Robbins for the injured Dennis Smith and Mike Harden at safety. Second and 7. Montana to Rathman again. And Castile comes up from the corner to make the hit at the 32-yard line. It'll be shy of a first down by 3.
Dick, one of the things you do not want to do in this game is tackle Rathman high. You'll have a headache that will last for hours. He is a bull of a back. Great power, is a fine blocker. He's one of the main reasons that this San Francisco rushing attack has been so effective so far in 1988.
A terrific compliment to Roger Craig, number 33, who leads the league in catches with 35 and is the leading rusher for the 49ers. But Montana, thinking that Denver would key on Craig, has gone to Rathman his first 2 passes. This one over the middle, incomplete. Intended for Mike Wilson on that left side. Wilson covered by Castile. And the Broncos have held to open the game and will get the ball on a punt as in comes number 9, Barry Helton. Helton, who was drafted in the 4th round out of Colorado, replaced Max Runniger, who's now kicking for the Cleveland Browns. Gerald Wilhite, number 47, is back at the 25 for Denver on the skin part of the baseball infield. They've not been able to re-sod here at Candlestick. A flat kick. You could tell from the sound he didn't hit it just quite right. Wilhite to the 34-yard line. He's playing in front of a lot of family and friends. He was a collegian at San Jose State. 40 yards on the kick, 5-yard return. Sam Kennedy, who leads the 49ers in special teams tackles, gets another. John Elway. He's off to a sluggish start. He's got people not only concerned but curious up in the Mile High City. Tony Dorsett and Sammy Winder, the running backs. Ricky Natile and Vance Johnson, the wideouts, and Clarence Kay, the tight end. Jariga, Bishop, Brian Kartz, and Lanier, the offensive line. They start from the 35-yard line. Orson Mobley, the tight end, in motion. Elway guns to the far side, complete. Vance Johnson rolled out of bounds at the 46-yard line. It's a 11-yard gain and a first down for Elway and the Broncos.
San Francisco corners tend to play you a little bit loose. Elway's arm makes that dangerous.
Larry Roberts, Michael Carter, perhaps the best nose tackle in football, Kevin Fagan. Charles Haley, he likes to rush the passer. He's a Fred Dean type. Ricky Ellison leads in tackles. Michael Walter and Keena Turner. McKyer and Griffin on the corners. Fuller and Lott, two hard-hitting big safeties. First down, Elway. The quickie is to Johnson on this side, and he's wrapped up immediately by Don Griffin, number 29.
The message from Elway very quickly: if you're going to give us room on the outside, we're going to take advantage of it. Elway dropping quickly. And Dick, you talked about the speculation about Elway. Why is he having so many troubles? The first question you ask is he physically all right? You know his arm is all right the way he's whipping that football, but he is not running as well or escaping as well from traffic so far in this year.
Just 2 yards on that last play. 2nd and 8. 4 plays, 4 passes. Elway down the middle, incomplete to Clarence Kay, the tight end, in a crowd of red-jerseyed 49ers.
I asked John Elway what he had to do today. What was he thinking about? He said very simply, I've got to play within myself. I can't try to make it all happen with a single play. In other words, he can't force the issue. That's what's been getting him in trouble with interceptions.
Well, from his college days at Stanford through his career with Denver, he's the kind of player that just feels that pressure. He wants to do it all. And if the team isn't winning, he tries perhaps too hard. 3rd and 8. The crowd trying to make it difficult. They pick up the blitz. And is it good to Sewell? He comes up with the ball shy of a first down at the San Francisco 44-yard line.
I think they may have given him a little extra on that mark. It's still going to be very, very close. Really a tough call in a sense of where that ball ended up. Very close to a first down, and they're bringing the marker in from the sideline.
Remarkable catch by Sewell with the Broncos. Rick Massey, you heard on NFL Live, staying in Denver with his problems. They have only 3 wide receivers, and Sewell will be performing a lot in that capacity.
Here's Ronnie Lott on the blitz. One of the reasons that play was successful was that Lanier, number 76, one of the fine pass blocking tackles, able to stop it. You'll see Sewell coming across the top of your picture, and watch this great catch with all kinds of pressure from Griffin on his back.
Generous spot, and it is a first down for the Broncos. 4 straight passes for Elway, and he's back to throw again. Underneath to Kay, the tight end, and he's toppled close to another first down at the 34. Griffin and Michael Walter making the tackle.
Clarence Kay went down in the opening game against Seattle, a bruised spinal cord. He came back last week for those 5 receptions you see there, missed greatly by Elway and these Broncos.
5 in a row. That's bingo, isn't it?
That's bingo. And Dick, while they're measuring to see if that's a first down, one of the things you can do to this 49er defense, if you can get the running game going at their defensive ends, they are not